Hello and welcome to We Never Met, the podcast where I have interesting strangers on every single week. Today we have
Sam or Ghani. Hello, guys.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing super well.
Dude,
thank you for having me.
This is one I've been waiting for a while because like just to start off, I mean, I'll give a little background on my perception of you and like what I see online and stuff. Your photos don't even look like they're possible to do.
What?
I'm like in like the best way possible. It's like last night you were shooting at a place a couple doors down from here.
Yeah.
And I was with Josh Arter, who's been on the podcast before, and we were talking about you and how we don't even know how it's possible. Like,
oh my god, I'm like blushing. You guys can't see it.
Yeah, I look at your photos and I'm like, how does he do this?
I really appreciate that, man. Josh, for just side note, is maybe my favorite photographer and one of my favorite photographers.
It's so cool what he does. Yeah,
it's amazing. But I really appreciate that, man. Thank you.
So how long have you been doing photography?
I started in 2010. I went to MPS school called, this is a mouthful, but it was called Ronald Wilson Reagan College Preparatory International Baccalaureate High
Man,
School.
they need to change that name.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you could take two paths in this school. All of the courses were AP based.
Okay.
You could either do a music based, three paths: music, like mathematics, history, and English based, or art based, like journey through your high school career.
Okay. That's kind of cool that they allowed you to do that.
Yeah, it was really wonderful. And the teachers I met really like impacted me, but I chose the art route, and I can't draw for shit.
So that was out.
Yeah, I can't paint, and I tried to make this triptych, and it was a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
And I picked up a Canon Rebel. I think it was like one of the first ones that the school was renting out to the art students, and it just kind of like snowballed from there. One of my first photos from our senior gallery, that was like what we had to do to graduate.
Sure.
Got published on Milwaukee, which was like it was a big deal for me. I didn't
It's
really
a big deal now. Yeah, it's cool now.
Thank you. I didn't really understand the scope of it at the time. So I went right after I graduated high school, I went to Cardinal Stritch University for a little while. Then I transferred to UWM and kept pursuing like a photojournalism and then photography. And then I just, my life kind of like continued to snowball, and I just have been doing it freelance ever since.
Wow. So right out of college, you just started doing like photography full time pretty much?
I wish. It was a little bit of, I started doing photography, and then I like really rooted myself into the music scene. Shout out to Breaking and Entering. They really supported me like right as they came out. I released a solo EP in 2013, which is really embarrassing to admit. Yeah. Some people know of it. Some people don't. It was under the name Comet Tales, and it was like this synth wavy pop stuff, and it was a lot of fun. But
can you still find it now? Is it still out there?
Maybe.
You have to dig really deep.
Really deep.
Yeah.
And I won't help you find that.
Yeah. I'll actually obstruct you from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I was like really into the music scene for a long time, and I made a lot of friends, like the boys in Paper Holland, are like huge shout out to them too. Yeah. And then I just recently in 2015 I met Ashley Berry.
Yeah, I saw her last night. She was crazy dope.
She's a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
But we actually met to make beats together, and I was going to start producing some music for her. And we were just like shooting the shit and talking, and I actually like impulse bought a camera. It was a Canon T6i while I was hanging out with her. Yeah. And then I just like picked it up back in 2015 or 16 and just kept rolling since then.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess my question is, originally when you started, was there a point that you were taking pictures and kind of doing it? Because I feel like there's a point for everyone where you get lucky a couple times. You're like, wow, this is a really cool photo that I took. I can't believe I took that. But like the rest of them are kind of like, they're fine.
That might be all the time, actually. Like
not now.
Some shows for sure. Shows is like, for any photographer who wants to be a show photographer, it's always quantity over quality at a show. Like just shoot, keep because artists are intermittent and they move weird and differently, and lighting is intermittent and it changes, and just keep shooting.
Just click.
Yeah, for sure.
I saw you last night because do you film video too, or do you just do photography, or was that you just literally taking as many shots as possible?
Yeah, that was just me like kind of like D-Day shooting
as much as you can. Yeah.
So that's a lot of what I'll do. Like at shows, you'll just see like my camera come up from the crowd, and I'll just start like firing off. Yeah.
So, but was there a time for you where it became more consistently like you like refined kind of what you wanted to do, like for photography?
Yeah, I think right at the beginning of 2017, I like woke up one day and I was like, this is kind of like what I need to start doing.
Yeah.
So I purged all of my social media, and now it's like, if you go all the way back on any of my accounts, it's just, photography based stuff.
Yeah.
But it was like at the beginning of 2017, I was like, I just have to do this. So I started going to shows, and I started like paying my way to get into shows to shoot, which was, it was really like hurting me for a little while, because I would like go to work, then I would go shoot some shows and go to work and shoot, and like just this back and forth. But it taught me a lot, and it was really fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get cameras into shows sometimes too. I got my camera kicked out of the Collectivo back room.
Yeah. Collectivo. If you guys are listening to this, Collectivo back room, I want to shoot there. Please stop treating me the way that you guys do, because I love you.
It's crazy. It's crazy. She's like, I brought my camera in because a guy I had on the show, Zach Petrini. Yeah. He was performing at the Collectivo opening. And I'm like, dope. Yeah. Like, he's such a cool dude. And I'm like, I want to take pictures of him performing here because it's dope. And I bring my camera in or whatever, and she's like, do you have credentials?
Or a photo pass or something like that?
No. Like, do I need credentials to take pictures of the opener?
Yeah, totally.
Like here? And she's like, yeah, you're going to have to put your camera in your car. I'm like, number one, I'm not putting my camera in my car because it's freezing outside, and it's going to like break my camera.
Yeah, like damage
No, I'll keep it here, but I guess I can't take photos with it.
It's truly a bummer because it goes through like the Pabst Theater Group, the Collectivo backroom, and then there's like the artist has to agree to it too. So
and I know they're just doing their job, you know. There's nothing they can do.
It's rough shooting there. It truly is.
And it's crazy to me because they're like, yeah, you can take like digital cameras in there, or you can take like your phone. What's the difference if I take my phone and take a picture, or take my camera and take a picture? Like, I'm still taking pictures.
No, truly, and phone cameras are so good these days. So
right.
It's like almost no difference.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of an S. Carey show at the Collectivo backroom and I snapped one photo and I put it on Instagram.
Like, this is the one I got before I got kicked out.
It was really funny. But
oh yeah. He's one of the guys I'm trying to get on the podcast.
What?
Yeah, I'm trying. He hasn't responded.
That would be amazing.
That would be so
crazy
cool. With photography, you know, in bands and stuff, do you just like rock up there and be like, I'm just going to take pictures, or do you know everyone beforehand and being like, hey, I'm going to take pictures of you?
I used to just go to shows and shoot for people, and now I've kind of like built a little bit of a presence where people are really stoked. Like I'll message them like, hey, I'm coming to your set. Right. Just let me know if you need anything from me. And that's been really cool. Just like build those types of friendships and connections with people. Yeah. But like from like 2017 to to summer of 2018, I was just showing up to places and shooting, which was really cool because I think artists, a lot of musicians have so much on their plate. Like the last thing they're thinking about is like,
I need a photographer.
I need a photographer, or like, what does my social media look like? What does that do for my brand? Like, you know, is that helping me reach people? And even I got to witness like firsthand with a handful of artists in the city what like their social media presence can really do for them in the long term. Yeah.
So aesthetically, do you think you have like a style, or do you just kind of, because I feel like there's a picture of like you have of the art museum and like the whole grass is red. How did you even do that?
That's with my boy Reggie Cologne. He's an awesome musician. I just changed in Lightroom. It's really easy to change greens to reds. Okay. So if you see any of those like really weird red, pink, purple photos that of like leaves and stuff, changing those hues is really easy just by like moving the color filter over. Okay. It's like 101 almost, but people love it, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, it was crazy to me because like it didn't affect the rest of the photo. That was like usually when you shift colors like that, everything like starts to turn red,
and like the sky and stuff like that. Yeah. And like I just like pulled the bottom half, and then like I chose like some of the it's really cool. I edited on an iPad Pro, so I'll like spend time like just with my fingers like highlighting stuff and like zooming in, and it's a lot more helpful than a trackpad has ever been, or like a Wacom tablet.
Is that what one of those? Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, where you can draw on it and stuff.
Yeah. So the iPad Pro is like really taking me to the next level.
Yeah. And speaking of, like, you should shout out your Instagram so people can follow you and see what we're talking about.
Oh, my Instagram is at Samerghani, SAMERGHANI.
And I want to talk about the Japanese. What is that collectively? Because I took Japanese for 6 years.
That's amazing. I'm like a little embarrassed because I only took for like a year.
Well, I can tell you I don't remember really much about it.
Wonderful. Less embarrassed. But I just have a really deep passion for Eastern culture. Like my parents are from the Middle East, and like a lot of Eastern culture in comparison to customs here are about like respect and honor and patience. An old friend told me a story about like the ode of samurai. Like samurai will never pull their unsheathe their sword unless they're willing to die. And when you think about like when you're in an argument or a fight or any sort of conflict with somebody, I always try to remind myself like not to pull my sword because I don't want to intimidate somebody else. Like even if it's like a metaphorical sense, excuse me. I feel like as I started to get older, I realized that a lot of the things that I truly value were based on some of those customs and cultures that were much unlike here. And the aesthetic of the Japanese is awesome. And just like right on the nose, I think when someone's going through, you can use social media as a tool, and it's an art form in itself. So if someone's like scrolling my page, when they see my photo, they have a reaction. And then they see the Japanese and they have a reaction. So they're almost like attempting to translate it. And then they get to hit the translate button. And then they get a little slice of like what Instagram translated it to. Because I'll translate it using like Google Translate, and I'll go through it for like 10 or 15 minutes trying to find the perfect translation. And then it'll retranslate itself on Instagram because Instagram has a different translator. So what I'm saying isn't what Instagram is showing you. So there's like a bunch of different layers to it. And I think it's cool. It's like me trying to communicate out of like a little black box, and it gives people a chance to like think about the art a little bit more. And that's what I want. I want it to just be a little more thought provoking. Yeah.
And I think also, you know, if you're too lazy to look up Japanese, it kind of allows you to, like put your own meaning on whatever the photo is. If you're just like, oh, well, I can't read this, so like, what does this mean to me? You know, it's less about the caption and more about the photo itself.
And that's exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm going for.
Yeah. So on your website, there's like mainly 3 different categories that you do for photos. What it's like abstract. What are the other couple that you have?
Portrait and
music. What do you think your favorite out of those is to do?
Oh, abstract.
Is it?
Like, yeah, 100%. I absolutely loathe taking photos of people.
Oh, really?
I absolutely. Why? Taking photos of people is great, and it's very lucrative, and it's a wonderful tool. But a lot of people have an unrealistic expectation of what they look like.
100%.
And taking photos of people, I think you don't get to capture it's like very artificial moments.
Right. It's like pose, smile, or don't, whatever. Just take a picture.
Exactly. And I know that sounds super cliche for a photographer to say, but when I'm shooting like landscape or abstract photography, I kind of black out when I'm shooting because like I'm not really thinking. I'm just like so involved in the moment. And same when I'm like shooting music photography, I'm like so involved in that person's set. That I truly like. There's like a blackout period during the creation of the art. But I don't really get that when I shoot like portraits.
Because it's so clinical almost. Where you're like,
that's a really good way to put it.
Look at the camera and all.
That's a amazing clinical. That's it. Like nail on the head, man.
So that was another thing. You like when you take pictures and stuff like away from the portraits, like the abstract and concerts and things like that. What are you looking for? Like, is there like certain shots that you're looking for? Is there a certain aesthetic that you're looking for? Because a lot of your photos seem very heavily like they're insanely cool. Like even the concert ones where you don't have necessarily the lights for it, they're like lit really insanely. It looks so cool. Even when you don't set up lights, the way you're shooting, is that like something that you always take into consideration is like lighting and stuff?
Lighting is like especially show lighting is like truly the bane of my existence, or any right. So you're always like fighting with the light. A lot of photographers say they chase the light, but I feel like I'm like constantly fighting it.
Yeah.
So I was just shooting at Anodyne last night, and it looks cool to our eyes because our eyes are perfect, but shooting there was a nightmare because those like little light bulbs on the stage were like blown out.
Yeah.
And then like the musicians right behind it were like really dark. So it's like fighting with that stuff. But to start at the top, I'm usually looking for like straight lines.
Okay.
And everything else, you kind of like know it when you see it.
Yeah.
So I don't ever really know what I'm looking for a lot. Like that blackout period starts to take over, and I just kind of like turn into a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type.
You're just like going.
Yeah. And then I start to like see it as it manifests in front of me.
Yeah.
But when I'm editing, I'll usually like those show photos with like weird light. I'll have my ISO like way higher than I want it to be.
Yeah.
And then it's a lot of like post editing work, like lifting the shadows and then pulling the contrast really low so that everything isn't like grainy or stark, and the lines of like someone's shirt and then the background and foreground isn't like too crispy or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like post edit manipulation for those low light concert photos.
Yeah. And is there certain things that you see out in the world when you're not at like a specific event that inspires you to take pictures? Like, do you find like landscapes to be really cool, or like, I don't know, architecture, things like that? Like,
yeah, some days I'll catch stuff that I've seen like a million times, and then I'll see it like 1,000,001 times, and I'm like, that is beautiful. Like, it'll just like catch me.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll be out shooting like a music video or really anything, and I'll catch like a tree, like something that'll just catch my eye. But I think now that I'm like really doing it full time, my photo goggles are like always on.
Yeah.
Like they have like not turned off.
Yeah.
I would say since like the beginning of 2018, my eyes have like always been open.
Yeah.
For that kind of stuff.
Cause I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are, at least myself included, that are like, wow, they say the same, like, wow, this looks so much better in person than it does on my camera. But I feel like you do like the exact opposite, where it's like, it looks better in photos than it could ever look in real life. That
is like the highest compliment. Thank you.
That's truly like, because even when you go on like vacation and stuff, and you're in like a crazy environment, like or in the mountains or something, you're like, oh man, like this looks so cool. I wish I could capture this to show people how insanely cool this is. Where I feel like you work the other way, where it's like, this is cool, and you'll never be able to see this in real life because it's so cool in camera. So do you ever feel like that though? Do you ever feel like when you're editing a photo and finish it, you're like, oh my gosh, like this is even cooler than I saw? Like,
yeah. Sometimes there's a photo of Chinatown in Chicago that I took where it looks like it's like a scene out of an anime after because like all the neon lights were like lit up and stuff like that. It looked wonderful, but it happens sometimes. But I like can't stress this enough, and I hope that any other artist that's like listening to this can relate. But that blackout period really takes over. And it's hard to remember what I was thinking when I was shooting. Yeah. But lately, when I go back to some of my photos, it kind of reminds me what I felt.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's hard to remember what I was seeing when I took it, like why I saw that.
Yeah.
Because like, again, like if any artist can relate to this, like that blackout
like being on
period,
stage and like performing and you just don't remember anything,
exactly.
But you just did it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. In this kind of stuff, does it take you all over the world? Like, do you do photography in other countries and stuff?
I would like to.
Yeah.
I know my page says booking worldwide. Yeah. And I hope like this year is going to be the year I visit like Ireland. We're planning a trip to Japan as well.
I went to school in Ireland for a little bit.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Was it wonderful?
It was very cool. I mean, it depends on when you go.
Okay.
Because I went there from January to May, and it rained like almost every day until like April.
Was it like bitter cold too, or?
It's weird because they have palm trees there.
Really?
Yeah, in Ireland. And you don't really think of that because the way the country is set up on the ocean, it's like they get a certain current, and like the way the air works, it's so moderate that they can have palm trees.
That's so
But
cool.
you never think of Ireland having palm trees.
No,
like, that's weird.
Like grassy hills and like Hobbit-esque stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like, it's the old, it's all so green and lush there that it has to rain a lot. Otherwise it wouldn't be green. You know what I mean?
So I guess I never thought of that.
So it's like, that's like kind of the thing you have to take in. It's like when I went out to Portland, it like rained a lot, but like it's really beautiful and green and lush. So it's like, well, you got to take it if you want this to exist.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise you're just in a desert
that's a really good point.
Yeah. But yeah, Ireland was really cool. Are you considering going to Japan, or have you gone to Japan?
We're actually like planning the trip like within these like few weeks right now. Yeah. We're shooting for November. But we might push it back to spring to watch like the cherry blossom trees bloom and all that stuff.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, we're really excited for that.
Are you going to for just vacation, or are you going to shoot stuff too?
Just to shoot, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just to shoot?
Just to shoot.
Dang.
Yeah.
Where you go? Like what cities and stuff?
I think we haven't like got a lot of the details, but we're looking for an Airbnb in northern Japan. We actually want to try to stay on like a farm and then like just travel the country over like the 7 to 10 days. Yeah. Like just like by bus and backpacking and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to go there. We had the chance in high school, in Japanese class to go, but it's expensive.
And ungodly expensive.
Especially in high school.
Yeah,
it's like, well, right. Where am I going to get this money from to go?
Right.
But, so I guess when you first started, going back to that, when you first started photography, what did you initially just latch on? Were you initially like, oh my gosh, this is so cool? Or were you kind of like frustrated? Because I feel like when I learn something new, there's an initial period of like, wow, this is really cool. But then there's also the next period of like, I'm getting really frustrated because I don't know how to work.
Yeah. I think I like forced myself to like keep grinding because there was not a lot else I felt like I could do. Like there was no perfect outlet for me. Like I said, I couldn't paint. I can't draw. I sing, but I sing very poorly. And like, I'm going to
listen to the EP and let you know.
I'll send it to you, but you can't I won't send it to anyone else. It's so bad. And like, I've been in and out of like punk bands like my whole life now, but, and they all sucked, but a ton of fun, but they all sucked. And, I just needed something, and I just wanted to express like what I was seeing and like how cool things actually look. Because like when you like look around, like an artist designed this, and an artist designed like this, and an artist designed everything. Like everything we interact with, someone spent hours of their lives like designing and articulating, and then some executive fucking okayed it, but you know, like gave it the green light. But like everything we like interact with, like someone spent a part of their brain power like creating, and I think that escapes us far too often. So I wanted to start capturing things that are beautiful, and everything is beautiful if you're willing to like just take a step out of your comfort zone and realize that you got one shot at all of this. Like you got one fucking shot at all this. Sorry if that's okay. You got one shot at all this, and just like open your eyes a little bit more. Don't let all that negative shit take you down, because it could all go away.
Yeah. Is that a more recent mindset, or have you always kind of felt like that?
Oh, way more recent mindset.
Really?
Yeah. I was really struggling for a long time. I was really going through like really harsh bouts of depression and anxiety. And I was
still there. Yeah.
Yeah. My apologies, man.
No, it's
it is. It truly is. Yeah. And I was like, I tried to take medication, didn't work. Self-medicating. I do not recommend. It kept feeling like nothing worked, but it sounds cliche, but just keep your head down and keep grinding on whatever like fills your bucket, whether it's art or whether it's like your job, whatever your passion is, like your pets, your family, your significant other, like whatever it is that keeps your bucket at least a little full, like keeps your nose above water.
Sure.
So that you can open your eyes a little bit more, like keep doing that.
Yeah.
That's like my best advice.
Yeah. Cause I mean, I've had, I have OCD and an anxiety disorder. Like I got diagnosed like super young, at like 12 years old. And I've like gone to the hospital for like panic attacks, cause they've gotten so bad, where you almost like stop breathing, you know? And it is a thing of like, it's really hard. Cause I feel like when you just kind of sit around, I found myself, at least when you sit around and just like think about how terrible it is to go through like depression or anxiety, it makes it 100 times even worse, you know? And it's nice to find something that you're passionate about and you can like put yourself into and go into bouts. I used to say cause I do like comedy and improv and stuff, and cool. if I can make someone like go into that stage and even forget about, you know, being depressed for like 10 minutes or like not having anxiety for like 5 minutes
just
of their day.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the goal. And if you can find stuff like you do where photography, where you can just like literally just go in and just like forget about everything else for like 30 minutes even, that's like such a huge thing, you know?
It really is. I feel like very, very grateful to have found something like this. And I will say, like, it didn't like even way back in high school, like I didn't know that this was going to be this way. And it felt like every like part-time job and like every failure and every lost friendship or broken relationship, like every like little lesson led up to like where I am now. Again, as cliche as that sounds, but like I didn't know that photography was going to be like my thing. Yeah. Probably until like the beginning of 2018, even like still while I was shooting like way back in 2017, going to all these shows, like I was just like, this is a lot of fun. But I think it's like relationships. You don't really know you're falling in love until like you've fallen in love. Right. You know?
Yeah. And now you're in love.
Yeah, now I'm in love. Yeah. I hope she doesn't break my heart, but I'm going to enjoy the ride.
Yeah. So I guess going back to that, because I mean, I've done a lot of stuff with like mental illness and stuff like that. Was that a whole like lifelong thing for you, or did that kind of like, because for me it was bad when I was a kid, and then it kind of developed differently as I grew into an adult, like, if that makes sense. Like it was like a different set of standards. Like my OCD was insane to the point where like I couldn't like leave the house when I was a kid, but like as I developed older, it like became more anxiety based. Was that always like a struggle for you, like anxiety and depression?
Yeah. When I was very young, or just like growing up in Milwaukee, I grew up in a very Muslim household, very religious. Like, sure. I adore my mom. She's a saint, but very religious, very strict. Not incredibly like supportive of like the arts and stuff like that. Yeah. And we were not financially sound, so we were kind of like always living on the edge a little bit. Yeah. So I grew up with like a lot of like anger, and I didn't really know, like when I was a kid, I couldn't understand it or really try to process it. So that's kind of like why I slipped into like playing music and like punk rock and skateboarding and video games and all that shit, and just being like a latchkey kid and always like being out and dicking around, and learned a lot of lessons that way. But as it was just like a lot of like untamed anger, and as I got older, it started to develop into like depression, and it started feeling like someone cut my wings off, you know, like that's how it felt for so long. And just like growing up in that household, I would like go to school, and I'd be in an American like culture, American society, and I'd have to like change the way I think and act to be in a public like school setting. And then I'd come home and I'd have to like rewire it again and be like, okay, I'm in my Muslim culture now I have to like act the way that my mom wants me to act. And then like as I got older, I found a really good balance on that, but I didn't understand like the toll it was taking on my mental health. And when we were really young, we would go visit Israel like all the time. And I would like go to school and I felt like I didn't belong. I would go home, I felt like I didn't belong. So when we finally went to Israel, I didn't belong there either, because they're not very fond of like Americans. So my mom was doing great because she was back home, but like I was there and I was like, this is supposed to be like the place that I can like truly finally like let go, and like I didn't feel that there either. So through my teens, I invested a lot of that like anger into punk rock music, and like learning how to play and like kick flips and all that shit. And now that I'm 26, it has manifested itself into this really weird passion for trying to like see through people's eyes, and like just like when you're in pain, you can definitely identify pain. So I've spent a lot of time just like talking to other local artists and just trying to hear their story, which is like a lot of what you do. I truly appreciate like the work that you're putting out here.
Well, thanks, man.
I think it's really cool.
Likewise to you.
Thank you. But it went from like anger to like depression and anxiety, and now I'm just trying to get through the hour. No, I think it's crazy relatable, because first of all, I completely take for granted
sometimes I feel like even hearing you talk about that, about being just a white, non-religious really male, because it's like I never had that struggle growing up, or even thought about that really, of like coming home and having like a different set of rules and like boundaries than you do in like a public setting, and then you know, like feeling so displaced essentially, you know, no matter where you go. But like I also like you felt very angry when I was young, because it was the why me routine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all this stuff is happening. Why does it have to happen to me?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, why do I have to struggle so hard? Like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Like I didn't sign up for this.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Like why does it have to be me? And you know, you see when you're growing up, you see all these other kids around, but you don't really know what they're going through or anything. You know,
right. Yeah, you're super right.
They could be going through the same stuff, but it feels very like just you. Like, this is just me. That I'm the only one that is struggling right now, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, like you unintentionally really box yourself into that mentality, and then it just like the anger just continues to stir.
Right.
And when you're young, like your your mental fortitude's so small.
Yeah.
So you can't rationalize it.
Right.
So it's just fucking anger.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because I distinctly remember I was. Do you know there's like a bike trail in Franklin? It's called the Oak Leaf Trail.
Yeah, there's like deer on it sometimes and stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in high school I was running on there once, and I just legitimately stopped in the middle of running, because I used to I'm way better now, but I used to not be able to like leave a certain radius of my house, otherwise I'd start having a panic attack. And so I was like running or whatever, and I started having a panic attack, and I'm not religious at all, but I like looked up in the sky and just started screaming, and I'm like, why, God, why does this happen to me? And I was so frustrated, and like I had so much just anger, and I think I was angry at like everybody. I was angry at my parents. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I was just angry.
Yeah,
I was just angry.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Very relatable.
Yeah.
I had like a lot of anger towards I love my mom to death.
Yeah,
but
me too.
Like
I don't even know why I was mad, because like they were trying to help me, but I also was just mad at them.
Just mad. Yeah. And my mom, she wasn't ever, only up until recently, she wasn't incredibly supportive of the art stuff.
Yeah.
I think she's got like an old school brain, so she doesn't really like entirely understand it either. Should give her the benefit of the doubt, but just like all this unmanifested anger, and I don't know, you're so close to your parents when you're young.
Right.
Like that's like the closest relationship you have, so it's easy to be angry at people you love.
Right.
You know,
like they're here, I'm gonna be pissed at them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're in control of this. But yeah, I was gonna actually ask you about that. So when you were younger, what was the difference, like how your parents viewed your art then compared to now?
I think my mom definitely thought it was like a phase. So it was like listening to like My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, Blink-182, like all this like, you know, this alternative and punk shit, and like, you know, like started wearing like black. Like black is kind of like the MO just because it looks okay. Like it matches.
It always looks okay. Yeah,
exactly.
You never have to worry about looking like a fool. Like I'm wearing this crazy shirt, but it doesn't match my pants.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
So I think she was always worried that I was like going through a phase, and she didn't want me to like do something really dumb.
Sure.
Right when I was 18, I like got a tattoo, got my lip pierced, got my ears pierced, and that's when she really started freaking out. She's like, "Dude, this is a phase.
What are you doing?"
And she's like, "Yeah, you don't know that this is a phase, but it's a phase." And so she was not super supportive of it throughout my teens, but I think now that now I've been an artist for longer than I haven't. And I don't think she remembers a version of me that wasn't like this now.
Yeah.
So I think now she's starting to get it, especially when I showed her like, hey, like me and Shlee got published in the Shepherd Express. Like that's my photo.
Like physically, we're somewhere.
There's my name, and she's like, oh, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like it's finally starting to like click in her brain a little bit.
Yeah, because I think that was the thing. We were talking about this before with parents, where it's like. It was such a different, like the media was so different when they grew up. So when they see something like physical, like in a newspaper or like something like that, that's relatable to them. They're like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. Like, and I think she assumes that like a bunch of people have that. She doesn't know that those, they just like exist in like Anodyne and Outpost and, you know, like, but I think only recently she started like really coming around to it.
What do your parents do?
My mom, she grew up on a farm in Israel before she came here.
Okay.
And she just recently became unemployed, but she was like a team lead and a assistant store manager at Walmart for a long time.
Okay.
So she's always been like a retail homie. Like when since she's
my
been
mom
here.
is too.
Really? That's cool.
My mom works she used to work at they don't exist anymore, but the Deb shops, they were like owned by, I think, the same company as Boston Store. I could be wrong, but she worked there for a long time, and she kind of does retail stuff too. But
yeah, small, very relatable,
right? Yeah,
and she used to be an English teacher when she was like back in Israel, and then she just came here and pulled up her bootstraps and kept working.
Why did she come here?
I think like safety and opportunity.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, safety wise, for sure.
And her brothers and sisters. She's one of the older, and she's one of 7. So I have a ton of cousins. If you guys are watching, shout out. But like all of you. She was an English teacher there, and then she just came here and with the support of her brothers and sisters.
Okay.
And I think they all came for different reasons, whether it was like opportunity or probably for us, like the next generation. So I am very grateful to have been born here and to have experienced like life here. The fact that like we can do stuff like this without having to worry about like water and food and like, it's
stuff you don't think about every day.
Yeah.
But you probably should.
Yeah, exactly. So she used to own a store on not on North, but on Booth, like in River West. It's called Midget Foods. Like she built that that store. Yeah.
Dang.
I remember one time we were watching, this is like way back in like 2002 when Ray Allen was still on the Bucks.
Yeah.
This is not a story about Ray Allen, but like that era of the Bucks. I forgot who she was like watching. She was watching us watch the Bucks, and she was like, I used to sell Mountain Dew to that kid. And it was like a Bucks player. I was like,
really?
What the fuck?
Dang.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy how small but big Milwaukee is.
Yeah, the small Milwaukee thing.
Yeah. It is true. You can see people that you just know, like run into them randomly all the time.
It's really cool. And that my buddies like harass me about it all the time because we can't go anywhere without somebody being like, "What's going on, Sammer?" They're all just like, "Oh, here he goes again."
Here he is.
I'm like, I don't know, man. I just do. I'm out here a lot, you know.
But yeah, I feel like with what you do too, you just meet a ton of people. Yeah, you meet people all the time.
And like all artists tend to like mingle in the same circles or like go to the same spots and stuff like that. So
yeah. So what do you have upcoming for you? Like, what are you shooting in the next couple of weeks or months?
This whole month is dedicated to like a lot of studio work. So it's a lot of portraits, a lot of like itemized stuff. Like I just did something for Benny from Say Word. Okay. I'm starting a couple new accounts that I can't really talk about just yet, but a lot of like product photography and stuff like that. So
very cool.
It's kind of like more lucrative studio work. It's a little boring, but it's like the job.
Pays the bills.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you can do other cool stuff on the off time.
Exactly.
From not shooting products. But I used to shoot video for a furniture company. So there's not really much more boring than that.
What? That's actually kind of cool though.
It wasn't like, it was National Business Furniture, which is in West Dallas now. But it was mostly like, desks and chairs and like office stuff, you know,
just like highlighting the product and all that stuff.
Yeah, it gets really boring.
Yeah, very corporate. Yeah,
it gets really boring after a while.
It's hard being in like a creative mode in a non-creative space.
Yeah, that's very true.
So like I think companies like that are just like, oh, this person owns a camera, like come in and do the thing, and just like it's a lot. It's a little more than that, but I'm gonna try my best to just come in and do this thing that you're asking for. So I can only imagine how like it's probably like pulling teeth a little bit shooting that stuff.
It was kind of like every day you're just like, oh, here we go, another desk.
Yeah, another.
How are we gonna make this look cool?
Desk.
Another one. So where can people like? I know you're like pretty much booked out for at least March, right? In April.
Yeah. Not April. Only like the first week. So hopefully like I can breathe a little bit more in April and moving forward. But
yeah. So where can people find like or book stuff with you or find your stuff?
On Facebook, you feel free to DM me. On Instagram, there's an email link, but feel free to DM me if you don't want to do that. Yeah. And then on my website is a link to my email as well. So feel free to email me, guys, or however you use social media.
Yeah. And what's your website?
My website is www.samerghani.com. SAMERGHANI.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's been awesome to meet you.
Yeah,
and it was a lot easier than you thought, right?
Yeah, I was so stressed out. I was so scared. I was like, Sam, dude, I don't know.
I'm worried we can't talk, and we've been talking for like, let's see. I can see. Oh, yeah, 40 minutes.
I gotta get this out before we go. I am not VHS My World.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about that before we wrap up.
And it's really funny that like you sent like that question because
I saw it on your Instagram story. You're like, this is not me.
This is not me.
Stop contacting me about it.
Yeah, and like this week, like 4 people, like just out in the world, people kept asking me to my face, like, "Hey, are you VHS?" I'm like, "No, I am not." Whomever VHS My World is, I'm sorry of like the stress that you've gone through because
you know what the crazy thing is, I tried to reach out to VHS My World because I was just interested because it's cool. For those of you who don't know, it's essentially, I'm pretty sure it's just a guy with a VHS or a girl with a VHS camera that goes out and shoots stuff in that format.
That's the perception I have as well.
I didn't know if it was someone who shot with like a really high quality camera and then downgraded the footage and edited to make it look like a VHS. But
I was just talking to Josh Arter about it.
Yeah.
And we were trying to, I was like, do they have like a red yellow from VHS to USB? Like, how do they get it?
Yeah. It's a mystery.
It's
like our own Banksy.
Yeah.
Because they
like
won't
a
reveal
local
who they
Banksy.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to them a bit and they sent me like screenshots, and I have to get this out. They sent me like a few screenshots of like people harassing them because they assumed it was me. So I have some like enemies out here, which is fine. I don't care. But
yeah.
It's not me. Please leave that person alone. I would just tell you guys if it was me at this point. But
right, yeah. Why would you want to keep it a mystery?
Yeah.
This cool side project I'm doing, actually, don't want to tell you about or reveal that it's me.
Yeah, or reveal
it'll stay a mystery. But no, yeah, because I wanted to talk to whoever that is on the podcast, but they won't tell me who it is. So
I don't blame them at this point, especially because like, there's a lot of people who are following that account, and I think it's really, really cool. Yeah,
it is. It's super cool. You should go check that out too. I mean, like that's just a really cool idea. It's similar, well, not similar, but like similar to the idea of what Josh does, where he goes out with like a more lo-fi equipment and takes pictures and videos and stuff.
Yeah,
which is cool. That's how I started doing video. So
yeah. And that's exactly how I started doing photo, just like going out and doing it constantly.
Yeah.
But I think what the stir and the controversy and the art behind that page, like, please go check it out if you guys haven't. The VHS,
it's My VHS World, right? Yeah.
They really showed the Milwaukee art scene that you don't need a personality, you don't need a presence,
right?
You don't need your face. Like, you can just make art, and people will like it. And I think like that is like the most important lesson we can all take away from that account.
Right.
Like, you can make art.
You don't have to post selfies every hour to get followers.
You don't have to do anything but make art. And people will come.
Yeah. I think it's just cool because it puts you back in a place, you know, in like the late 90s and early 2000s, like, because I grew up like filming on one of those VHS, like straight to VHS camcorders.
Oh my gosh.
And we used to do like sketches and like things on like those
like home video sketches. Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's the one thing like my parents, like, this away from that, but one thing my parents nailed is that like they filmed everything. It wasn't just like birthdays, it wasn't like Christmas, it was like just a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and they just like broke out the camera, and so now we can watch all that stuff back.
That's so cool.
And like, man, we have like shelves and shelves of different VHS and
like all these memories,
and DV tapes. Yeah,
that's so cool.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I could make an account just with old footage like that if I knew how to convert it to.
Yeah, there's got to be something out there for it.
Yeah, I mean, if I knew who the VHS person was, I would ask them how to do
them.
it.
Yeah.
But do you have any aspirations while we're on that topic about like doing like kind of more not creative, but more out there side projects, like something like that?
Yeah, I just recently started dipping my toes into video production, and I'm gonna pursue that pretty heavily starting this summer. But I think like my next few projects are going to be a few music videos for
cool.
some local artists, and some like really abstract like I really want to like tell stories in like those 30 seconds that you can get on Instagram, or like that minute you can get on an Instagram video, because there's a lot to be said about like people digest stuff really fast. So if I can like nail a point home about like self-preservation and self-love in like 30 seconds to a minute video, that's kind of like my next goal.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Like, help people reach back inside, because like social media, as it's a wonderful tool. Yeah, it's incredible, but I think it's done two things to our generation. It let our generation watch ourselves evolve in real time, which no other generation has been able to do before us. Yeah. Because there's no like history, like record of it. And it's forcing people to constantly reevaluate themselves, which kind of sucks on the surface, but I think it's good because people are like really reaching down inside. And I just want to help people remind themselves that they're fucking awesome, and our generation is getting better at it. That's what I really hope the next generation can own that shit.
Me too. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, dude. It's been a pleasure meeting you,
truly.
I'm a huge fan of what you do.
Thank you. I think ditto, by the way.
It's crazy what you're able to do, and meeting you and now talking to you, you're just like a dope person too. So
man, thank you so much.
Thanks for being on, man, and everyone go look at his pictures, because your mind will be blown.
Thank you.
You might not ever be able to follow anyone on Instagram again after that. But
my name's Sam Ghani. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Sam.
Yeah.